Corruption is a cancer, is a disease that deprives countries and people in countries of their rights, and also it drains countries of their economy. It misplaces the economy, and it creates problem for people in the country, deprive them of their rights. And I think if Africans fight corruption and they see that their economies are managed properly, there'll be a lot of peace because it will bless a lot more people.
The problem of underdevelopment for years in Africa has been tied to the kind of leaders we have in Africa. And we have a fallout of insurgency, rebels, terrorism. What do you think African leaders can do? How can they change that narrative?
By living what we all believe in, a corruption-free society, a society that considers their people first and foremost. Because you see, taking resources that are to bless majority of people, consolidating that in people's hands. When country condones corruption, you will see that people are afraid to put those resources back in the country, and the country is deprived, and the country is going out there to borrow money that probably would have otherwise benefited the country. And it's not just economic crime, but you're also talking about corruption in terms of nepotism, corruption in terms of depriving capable people of positions and putting in people who you think may be able to support your cause. So corruption, all of its manifestation, brings about underdevelopment, brings about deprivation, and that's what African leaders should fight against.
There's been a dearth of young people in political leadership on the continent. Why do you think that that particular sector has been dominated by the older generation?
You see, the mistake we make is that we believe that when you talk about leadership, you mean presidency. That's not my belief of leadership. Leadership is when you undertake a responsibility to guide a process, take an initiative. So our young people should be trained to be engineers, to be pilots, to serve in every area. They are playing leadership. I saw a South African lady say, "I'm the first South African female pilot." Isn't she a leader? There's one person that can become president only. Everybody else who serve in leadership position. That's my belief. So our young people should be prepared to serve in all areas that create peace, health, and security in country. But opportunities, that's why we say to those who manage society to create the space for young people to participate, because they are very active players, and they are active players in all areas. So now, youth parliament means the youth who are supposed to represent. But apart from those that are in parliament, what do you say of the other youth that are in other sectors who are helping to build the economy, who are helping to be soldiers, protecting the country? We all are, those are the leadership roles. Now, if by all of that training you emerge to the top, you have that experience in areas that contribute to your leadership. But what we are saying is all areas prepare you. Once you are in an area for service, they prepare you. The youth must have the space to be able to participate and build them. There isn't any position where we have seen people come from army to be president, people come from health sector to be. That means every area that you serve in, an area of responsibility is leadership.
Now let's move on to Liberia. You are currently in the present government in Liberia, but we also know that you have your eyes set on the presidency come 2017. But why should Liberians vote for you?
Liberians know very well that this vice president comes with a wealth of experience. This vice president is a vice president who they know the track record. I've not been involved in corruption. I came from the grassroots. I have worked all through, made my way, and they know that I come with a wealth of experience. They know that this vice president has served a president honestly and diligently for the peace of the country. So why go around to look for somebody else who coming to learn on the job?
Let's talk about Liberia's role in curbing insecurity on the continent. What efforts has your country put in towards that venture?
You know, talking about security, my belief is that you have peace with your work, with your neighbors. The other security is a leadership that provides opportunities for its people. Like we are talking about corruption. Security of the people means that a leadership that provides them opportunity for education, for their health, for their food, security, those are all the things that you need to make a country stable. It's not just the absence of guns, it is also an honest commitment to understand that leadership is to create, to remove obstacles. People are ignorant, is an obstacle. So when the leadership emerges that is conscious of that, that's the beginning of security.
Now, just a few years back, Liberia was badly hit by the Ebola virus, and but it was able to come well above waters. What are lessons that we can learn in crisis management around Africa from that experience you just had?
Well, you also understand that Liberia was one of the first to get out of the woods. Liberians are good at putting their act together to act as a country. They face challenges, they get to know under a leadership that put them together. Leadership is very important to begin with. When the president created the atmosphere to bring the Liberians together and put the war directly into their hands, then the international community came. I always say when you have a disaster, it's always good to start with yourself. If your country is not together, is not able to manage those that come to help. So Liberia is now in position with the experience we've had, with the mechanisms in place to be able to control not just Ebola, but any epidemic that might come by.